Adesso ammetto che c'è la fame.
Ok, aspetta.
Sì, tutto va bene.
Metti in allargato, no?
Sì.
Jai. Haribo Maharaj, my obeisances, the voice of Srila Prabhupada. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now you.
Hare Krishna, my humble obeisances to you.
Obeisances to you. Are you
Recording in progress.
Are you going to need any?
Just if I can share my screen, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll take care of it. The devotees do. I'm not the technical man tonight. Okay, we can start right away. There's a nice group already, and start right on time. Namo Omagyanti Bharadasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramigatam Jena Tasmai Shri Yadavam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Kale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Shri Shunyavadi Paschata Sakarine. So we're very, very happy this evening to be able to introduce as our special guest tonight His Holiness Swami Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj, become world famous preacher. People are asking, it's so hard to get him to come somewhere because he's being called all over the world. So we're very fortunate. Every few months we're able to get him to come online for all the devotees here in Europe to inspire everyone about book distribution. And just for beginning, setting the mood, I'd like to read one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, and then we'll pass over the mic to Maharaj. This is the verse 53 in the 7th chapter of the 7th canto of Prahlad Maharaj, what Prahlad learned in the womb. My dear friends, O sons of the demons, in the same favorable way that one sees himself and takes care of himself, take to devotional service to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present everywhere as the super soul of all living entities. The word Atmapamyena refers to thinking others to be like oneself. One can very intelligently conclude that without devotional service, without becoming Krishna conscious, one cannot be happy. Therefore, the duty of all devotees is to preach Krishna consciousness everywhere, all over the world. Because all living entities without Krishna consciousness are suffering the pains of material existence. To preach Krishna consciousness is the best welfare activity. Indeed, it is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Parupakara, work for the true benefit of others. The activities of Parupakara have been especially entrusted to those who have taken birth in India as human beings. Maharaj, you didn't take birth in India. Indian family, but not an Indian birth. Anyway, it's actually for the entire world is suffering for want of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya advised all living entities, all human beings born in India to make their lives perfect by Krishna consciousness and then preach the gospel of Krishna consciousness all over the world so that others may become happy by executing the principles of Krishna consciousness. And remember that the best preaching, Prabhupada said many times, the best preaching is book distribution because you're getting this full preaching. Prabhupada is preaching through the books. So now, of course, we know that in a few days, some yatras have already started. Devotees will start. Some of the yatras start today, and other yatras will start next Monday. But they're all starting the Prabhupada Marathon and the Live to Give campaign. So I'll turn over to Maharaj.
Thank you so much, Tri Prabhu. It's really an honor to be with everyone. My humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas on the call. Just looking at the august assembly of devotees, dedicated Sankirtan devotees, my heroes, my teachers. It's really an honor to be with all of you. And yeah, I'm so excited. I was just on Brajamandam Parikrama in Kartik by Krishna's mercy, by Srila Prabhupada's grace. And I was just telling the devotees on Sunday how we go from extremes, you know, so like going from the forests of Braj to like the Ugra Karma cities of the UK the very next moment. But it's all part of Krishna consciousness. So yeah, I'm back in London. I'm really inspired. Just before the call, I got the keys to the van. So I've got a Sankirtan van now. So we're going to be traveling all over this month, all over the UK, meeting people, trying to share Srila Prabhupada's books. So yeah, the energy is really rising. So I thought on this call, what I maybe do is for maybe 15-20 minutes or so, just share with you a little bit about what the devotees at the manor are doing for the marathon and just some of the ideas. And maybe that will spark something within all of you. Maybe you can also give us your feedback and see how we can do better. So I thought it would be nice just to do something practical like that for 15 minutes, just to share with you a little bit of the practical plans. And for 20 minutes, I thought just to share with you something of the power of Sankirtan, not just for the people we meet, but for ourselves. So I'll share a little bit about that, and then I'll kind of keep the last 10-15 minutes open for just comments and questions and reflections like that. So yeah, I'll just share with you a little PowerPoint, just a little bit about what we're thinking of doing at the manor. So this year, we were just sharing this with the devotees on the weekend as we launched the marathon, that it's a very telling quote by Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, "I blindly followed my Guru Maharaj. I do not know what is the result." So I'm stressing on this point of book distribution, and he told me this personally. So it's very interesting because oftentimes we hear Srila Prabhupada say, don't blindly follow or don't blindly do things, you should do things with knowledge. But there's also the aspect where when there's a spiritual teacher, a Vaishnava, a great Vaishnava, it's said, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigyaya Nabhujoy, that sometimes one cannot understand the minds, words and activities of a Vaishnava. And therefore sometimes the spiritual authorities, the acharyas, the gurus, they may say things which we can't really always figure out, like how is this going to work? How does this actually logically fit together? But because we have so much faith in their integrity and their spiritual purity, we follow it. And here to some extent Srila Prabhupada is saying that about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that, you know, in one sense, he couldn't put two and two together, like book distribution. Why is he putting so much emphasis? But Prabhupada said, I blindly followed him. I didn't know all of the ins and outs of how it would work. But Srila Prabhupada did it, and book distribution caused the revolution. And I think this is still such a relevant quote for us, because sometimes people nowadays, even devotees, we doubt book distribution, we doubt it, we sometimes think, is it really effective, is it really working, is it really having the impact? But because Srila Prabhupada talked about it so much, because Prabhupada stressed it from the first till the very final day, and because Srila Prabhupada himself did it and was so interested in it, I think just on that basis, like for all time to come, the devotees keep this as such a central part of their life. And definitely for myself, even despite so many opportunities, beautiful opportunities to serve in so many ways, I never miss out the opportunity if I can, to go out on the marathon and also distribute books through the year is such a beautiful thing. So yes, at the manor, I think on the last European Sankirtan call that I did, I was stressing door-to-door book distribution, and of course different places are different, and we have to kind of adjust to the situations. But we're really trying to push that this year at the Manor, and what we're going to try to do is knock 51,000 doors in the month, and as the UK in total, we're going to try and knock 100,000 doors. 100,000 doors means, you know, if there's a family that's, you know, leading 500,000 people. So it's really a wonderful kind of tangible goal. One reason we wanted to do this is because we also wanted to keep an effort goal, because sometimes what happens is when devotees have a result goal, then it can sometimes create a pressure or an intimidation, or they just feel like, I'm not really contributing much to this effort goal because I'm to this result goal because I'm not such a good book distributor. But everyone can put the effort in. So our calculation is that if we can knock 51,000 doors, as part of that, we'll try and distribute 21,000 Bhagavad Gitas, and we have a whole plan of follow-up, which I'll also share. So the idea is with every book that we're giving out, we're also giving a free bookmark. So we have two versions of the bookmark. One is for a familiar audience, those who are already kind of familiar with Krishna consciousness, perhaps from an Indian background, who already have some contact with the temple or with the movement. And so we're giving them one bookmark. One side of the bookmark is like a free online course. They just scan it in literally on their phone, and they can do an online course. It's completely free. And the other side of the bookmark is just to invite them to come to the Sunday program and kind of connect with some of our courses. And then we have another bookmark which we are keeping for like a non-familiar audience. And they also get the opportunity to join that online course. And then we have a special kind of retreat day for them. So we decided to have two different follow-up programs, because sometimes if we try to mix these audiences, then we don't necessarily serve them in the best way, because they have different needs. So we're trying to serve both audiences in the best way, and ensure that when people get a book, that they have an opportunity to connect with us. And this is also really good because oftentimes people won't take a book, but they can take a bookmark, they can still join the course, they can still connect with us somehow. And in that way, no contact with anyone is ever wasted. This is really one thing that we've tried to focus on book distribution, is that every time we meet someone is such a beautiful moment, and how can we make it count even if they don't take a book? And obviously we make it count by leaving a good impression, we make it count by maybe giving them some prasadam, and we can also make it count by giving them an opportunity to connect with us. So just to say to everyone on the call that if you don't have anything online that you can connect people to, then you can take our online course. You can take this QR code, you can even print something out and you can give it to all the Sankirtan devotees. And you can also, people from anywhere in the world can connect with this free online course. It's taught by Kripamoya Prabhu in the UK, a wonderful teacher, and just very relevant for a new person. They'll learn about yoga, meditation, karma, all the kind of principal things. So just to share that with anyone, if you want to take advantage of this, you can definitely do that. So we had a launch on the weekend. Another thing that we're trying to do is just get everyone involved in the marathon, and this is something I really encourage everyone to do in their yatras, is that the marathon is like a great opportunity for everyone to get connected to Sankirtan. And there's so many ways in which devotees can get connected, even if they're not able to go out on book distribution on the front lines for whatever reason. So having devotees cook, prasadam, having devotees pack the books, having devotees just do a lot of the backup. I think the marathon is just a great opportunity to get everyone in the consciousness of book distribution. Even if they're not a frontline book distributor, everyone can be part of the effort, and it creates a wonderful kind of atmosphere for everyone to feel part of Srila Prabhupada's mission. And what we're trying to do in around the Mana area is we're trying to focus on about 8 towns. And so those 51,000 doors that we're going to knock, we're going to try to systematically do them in 8 different towns. And the idea is that we have devotees in each of these towns. And so the idea is that as we go door to door, we'll pick up contacts. And what we're looking to do within the first 6 months of 2025 is set up sanghas, like namahatas in each one of these towns. And this is something we really feel is also important for book distribution, that when devotees see, we go out on Sankirtan, we give people books, we make contact, and then they come to a sangha, and then they become devotees. Then what happens is when people see the whole kind of timeline of it, then they just feel, yeah, book distribution is powerful, book distribution is relevant, book distribution works. And so I think if we put a little bit of effort into follow-up, then we'll see that the book distribution will also naturally increase from that. So how are we going to knock 51,000 doors? Well, what we're basically asking the devotees to do is make a commitment to knocking 108 doors. That means 6 to 7 hours or 7 to 8 hours on the street in the whole month. And our plan is if we can get 500 devotees to knock 108 doors, then we do 51,000 doors. And we'll probably do more, because once devotees do 108, they'll want to do more. So we just make a really basic goal, and it's beautiful because anyone can do it. There's no pressure of a result. You just have to go out and put your effort and just turn up, show up at the door, and just speak to people. People can do it in pairs, they can do it in families, they can do it with their kids. So anyone can kind of participate. So that's basically what we're trying to do. And what we've done is we've just created like a WhatsApp group. And what will happen on this WhatsApp group is as soon as someone's done 108 doors, they'll just say 108 done, and they'll put their name. And everyone on the group will every day begin to see like, oh, so-and-so has done their 108, they've done their 108, and then we'll just create an energy whereby everyone feels like, yeah, I can also go out, I can also do it. So this might also be something that you all want to do in terms of the marathon, is just creating a real spirit, creating a communication channel where you can share the good news of what's happening every day. One thing we really find is powerful on the marathon is just sharing stories. And when book distributors share stories about all the amazing things that are happening out there as they go to meet people, then everyone listening to those stories feels like, wow, I want to go out and also experience that. So just creating that energy. So yeah, these are just some things we're doing at the Mana. I guess before I go on to the next part of what I wanted to share with everyone, just to see whether anyone has any questions or comments, or perhaps you have ideas, or maybe, yeah, just anything else you may want to share just on anything I've said or ask, then perhaps we can just have a little bit of a discussion.
Yeah, anyone who wants to just put up their hand,
yeah, you can put up your hand.
Daniele will open it up. Guess it's very clear now.
It's very clear, yeah? Okay, cool. Would it, Okay, maybe I'll continue on and then I'll just kind of...
Well,
Okay, there's some questions there.
yeah.
I think someone's asking, can you share the card that you give to the people with the QR code? Yeah, I can ask Divyanand to share it with all of you. And so it's a QR code. So literally, in your local areas, you could just take that QR code. If you don't have anything else that you want, you can promote, and you can literally, you can just keep it on a card, and whenever you meet a good person, you just show them the card, they scan it in, and they automatically get signed up to the course. And so that's all. You don't even need to print hundreds. You just need to print one for yourself and just show it to people and get them to scan it in. Yeah, Frishabha Prabhu.
Maharaj, question, do you time your follow-up? Does it have to be like first week in January? Do you have some guidelines or some rules, principles we should follow on based on follow-up programs?
Yeah, we try to do it in the first week of January for a few reasons. The first reason is that usually from the second and third week of January, people just get entangled in life in the material world again. And, you know, it's just very difficult to get people. That first week of January is very good because it tends to still be holidays. And also it's the new year, so people want to do something new like that. We also find that a gap of like 1 or 2 weeks after you meet people, if you leave it too long, then you kind of people fizzle out and like that. So, so yeah, I think that's why we're generally doing it in the first week of January like that. Yeah, all right, great. Anyone else? Any comments, questions, or anything more you'd like to know? If not, then maybe I'll carry on, and then I'll just kind of open it up at the end again. All right, so that was just a little bit about the practicalities of the Sankirtan Marathon. And maybe just now to share something with you a little more reflective about Sankirtan. And yeah, I'm just gonna take you through a little bit of a passage of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then I'm gonna ask all of you a question, because it would be amazing to also hear your realizations on this, and then I'll share my realizations, and then we'll open it up. So this is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I really like this picture. This is Mahaprabhu in Varanasi. Mahaprabhu goes there, and in the most unexpected place, in the place which is full of Mayavadis, in the place which is just so antithetical to bhakti, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just goes there and he creates like the biggest wave of explosion of the Sankirtan movement. He converts Prakashananda Saraswati, and he converts his tens of thousands of sannyasi followers. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, actually the commentators say his time in Varanasi, this was perhaps the most transformational, one of the most transformational aspects of the Sankirtan movement. The reason I guess I start with this picture is just to share that no place is ever bad. Sometimes we think like, oh my God, I've got the worst country in the world, or I've got the worst towns, or I've got the worst place, like no one's interested here. I wish I could go to another part of the world which was so much more receptive. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shows that sometimes in the most unreceptive places, you can have sometimes the biggest impact. So no place is immune to the infectious spirit of the Sankirtan movement. So wherever you are is possible, because Mahaprabhu did it in Varanasi. So Mahaprabhu, he traveled, and it's explained that he would just travel town to town, and he would meet one person. That one person would get infected by Krishna consciousness by being in contact with Mahaprabhu, and then they would go back to their village, and anyone who came in contact with them would become infected, and they would then go to other places and infect others, and like that the infectious nature of the Sankirtan movement was spreading. And we know that Mahaprabhu went to South India. It's said that it was a 4,000-mile journey, and he walked those 4,000 miles over 2 years, and he went town to town, he went place to place, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu really created a wave there in South India. One of the most famous interactions that takes place in South India is that Mahaprabhu comes to a place called Kurmastan. This is the place where the Kurma Brahmana is residing. You can go to this place today. I was just in Brajamandal Parikrama, and there were some devotees from Kurmastan there, and they were telling me about this place. And so Mahaprabhu meets this Brahmana. The Brahmana is very sincere, the Brahmana is very devoted, and the Brahmana is very, very open, and he's willing to do anything to basically advance his Krishna consciousness. And so when he meets Mahaprabhu, he very much desires to serve him, to feed him, to host him, to get his mercy, and he does that. And after spending some time with Mahaprabhu, the Kurma Brahmana becomes so affected, so moved by his association, that he tells Mahaprabhu, I want to leave everything behind, and I just want to go with you. And so he says this in Bengali. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes, Kripa kara Prabhu more yanatoma sanga, sahite napari dukha, vishaya taranga. The key word here is vishaya taranga. The Brahmana begged Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, my dear Lord, kindly show me favor and let me go with you. I can no longer tolerate the waves of misery caused by materialistic life. So Vishaya Taranga means the waves of misery, the waves of sense gratification, the waves of materialistic life. And so I think many of us can relate to this. Like sometimes when you're trying to go into an ocean or go into a river, and as you're trying to go in, what happens is the waves keep coming back, and even though you're trying to go in, the waves seem to keep pushing you out, and fighting against those waves seems to be very difficult. And sometimes it's explained that as we're trying to dive into the ocean of bhakti, bhakti rasamrita sindhu, as soon as we're trying to dive into that ocean, what happens is that the waves of materialistic life seem like they're working against us. I want to dive in, I want to be dedicated, I want to be absorbed, but all these waves of challenges, of distractions, they seem to be throwing me out all the time. So the Brahmana, he says to Mahaprabhu, I want to leave it all behind. There's too many problems in my life. There's too many waves. I just want to go with you. I want to leave it all behind. My life is too complex. And Mahaprabhu's answer is incredible. And I want you to think about this, because I'm going to ask you a question on this. We know Mahaprabhu's famous answer when the Kurma Brahmana says this. Mahaprabhu answers him, Jare dekha, tare kaha, Krishna upadesh, Amara Agyaya Guru Anatara E Desh. Whoever you meet, instruct them to follow the orders of Lord Sri Krishna. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. I just want you to think for 1 second. Imagine you're like a mentor, or you're like a shiksha guru, or you're like a counselor, and someone says to you, someone comes to you and says, I've got this problem, I've got a family problem, financial problem, relationship problem, I've got all these problems, waves of miseries in my life, I can't tolerate it anymore. As a mentor, as a shiksha guru, do you think your first answer to them would be, whoever you see, whoever you meet, just tell them about Krishna? That's the solution. I don't know how many of us would advise someone like that if they came to us with problems. But Mahaprabhu did. And in the very next verse, Mahaprabhu says, Kabuna badipe tomar vishayataranga gunarapiye thani babe morasanga. Mahaprabhu told the Brahmana, if you follow this instruction, your materialistic life at home will not obstruct your spiritual advancement. Indeed, if you follow these regulative principles, we will meet again, or rather, you will never lose my company. So basically, Mahaprabhu is telling him, you got all these problems in your life, don't worry. Whoever you see, whoever you meet, just tell them about Krishna. And if you do that, all of your materialistic life will disappear. And you'll always be in my company. So now the question I want to ask all of you is, what is the connection? Here is someone who has problems, who has issues, who has distractions at home, is facing the waves of materialistic life. And Mahaprabhu is saying, if you preach, everything's going to disappear. Everything's going to be okay. Everything is going to be resolved. I just want to ask you your reflection on why you think Mahaprabhu gives that as a solution. What is the connection? What is the connection between whoever you meet, whoever you see, tell them about Krishna? How does that solve the materialistic problems that the Kurma Brahmana is experiencing in his life? Let me throw that out to all of you and ask you, what is the connection? Any ideas? You can either write on the chat, or you can put your hand up and philosophically speculate us an answer, or offer some ideas. Yes, Rishabhatu.
Just to break the ice so everybody else doesn't feel so uncomfortable. Is it because we are not focusing on ourselves and how we perceive these problems, and then we raise our consciousness and, focusing on Krishna? Is it something like that, mind?
Yeah, definitely. Specifically, I want to know why does going out telling everyone about Krishna, why does that solve your problems at home? So you're saying that it raises our consciousness? By talking to people about Krishna, we become Krishna conscious, and when we're Krishna conscious, then we begin to look at our own life and see our problems in a different way. Yeah, good point. There's some. Sarah says you get spiritual strength when you preach. Yes. Maybe because Lord Chaitanya takes over my consciousness. Yeah, good. Other thoughts? This is really, really powerful, because the point here is that so many devotees, all of us, to some extent, are struggling in our own spiritual life. And sometimes the narrative is, I need to sort out my own life, and then I can preach to others. But here, the narrative of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, preach to others and your life will get sorted out. So that, I think that's very, very significant. So, yeah, just to ask whether you may have any other reflections on that. Sri Lalita Mataji says, one material cause is that if we care for others, we don't focus on our problems. That's such a good point. When we're focused on solving the problems of others, then there's a sense in which our own problems disappear automatically. And then she writes, one spiritual cause is that this makes Krishna happy and he'll help us in our life. Another great point, that by preaching, what happens is we get reciprocation, we get mercy, we get spiritual blessings from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when we're invested with those spiritual blessings, then that's what gives us actually the strength to overcome whatever problems we're facing in our life. Dhairupa Mataji says we get Lord Chaitanya's association. Yes. Mahaprabhu's association is so magical. It's said, Katanchana shmide yasmin duskaram sukaram bhavet vishmide viparitam shat Sri Chaitanya namamitam. That if you remember Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if Mahaprabhu is in your mind, then difficult things become very, very easy. And if you forget Mahaprabhu, then even very, very easy things become almost impossible to do. So yes, definitely Mahaprabhu's association is transformational. Nitai Charan Prabhu says, one who preaches is most dear to Krishna. Yeah, so as we preach, as we try to share Krishna with others, then Krishna takes a special interest in our life. And if we're utilizing our life to serve others, then Krishna will naturally intervene in our life to solve things so that we can give more of our energy and time to others. So, such a nice point. Arundhati Mataji says, compassion for others will make us dear to Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, such a devotee is very dear to me. Yes, very similar to what Nitai Charan Prabhu says. Ava says, maybe the problems disappear by Krishna's mercy, but perhaps they do not disappear, but he gets absorbed in something much bigger than his problems. And by giving Krishna's love to people, he in turn experiences Krishna's love, making his problems smaller. That's such a nice point, yeah. I think we all have this experience in life that sometimes there's no solution to problems, but there is the opportunity of absorption. I remember once on Sankirtan, it was about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was really fired up to try and, distribute as many books as I could that day. I remember at 10 o'clock, I felt a stone in my shoe. And it was just like, I've got to get this stone out of my shoe, but I didn't want to waste any time on the street. So I was just like, yeah, I'll just distribute a few more books and then I'll take my shoe off and then I'll just get the stone out. And it was very interesting. I went the whole day with that stone in my shoe. And at the end of the day, I kind of took the stone out and I was like, I just tolerated that stone the whole day. It didn't really affect me. It wasn't really that annoying because we were so absorbed in just doing something which was so meaningful in our life. And so sometimes we think we solve problems by focusing on them. Like, I need to focus on solving this problem. But actually, sometimes what we need to do is just take our attention away from that problem and put our attention in something much more exciting, much more rewarding, much more spiritually empowering, and what can be more significant than helping others. And so we can't always find solutions, but we can find absorption. And of all the services in Krishna consciousness, perhaps the most absorbing service is the service of actually trying to help others in their life. And so, yeah, it's such a good point, Ava, thank you, that absorption is what solves our problems. Kiara, I hope I'm saying it right, says, we become the servant of Krishna in the heart of people, so we connect with our true nature, Krishna's servants, and our soul is satisfied. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, there's a certain satisfaction, a certain reward that comes from just sharing with others. And when we're satisfied within, then all of the problems, they don't look that big anymore. Thank you. Brigendra Prabhu quotes the Bhagavatam 3:21-31. Showing compassion to all living entities, you will attain self-realization. Giving assurance of safety to all, you will perceive your own self as well as all the universes in me and myself in you. Thank you so much. That's such a beautiful quotation. That yes, when we show compassion, then we become self-realized. We realize, sometimes they say, don't tell God how big your problems are. Tell your problems how big God is. And so sometimes what happens is we focus on how big our problems are, but when we're so focused on how big Krishna is, how amazing Krishna is, how powerful Krishna is, how potent Krishna is in his ability to act in our life, then all of the problems don't seem so significant anymore. Very good. Vishwamba Prabhu says we get higher taste. Yeah, for sure. And Vishwamba Prabhu says Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. He becomes the servant of his devotee who preaches. So he will solve the problems of his devotees. I preserve what he has and I carry what he lacks. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah. Krishna takes special care of those who are really concerned with the lives of many people. Krishna is coming to this world with a mission. It's very interesting. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to the living entities, Masucha, don't worry. But it's said that when Haridas Thakur goes to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then Haridas Thakur says to Mahaprabhu, don't worry. Prabhu Chinta na kariha. Mahaprabhu, you don't worry. You know, Krishna is the one who's supposed to tell everyone in the world, don't worry. But the devotee goes to Mahaprabhu, goes to Krishna and says, you don't worry. Because you're telling us not to worry, but we know you have a worry, and your worry is that the living entities are suffering. So when the devotee comes to the Lord and says, don't worry, please Lord, don't worry, we're going to take it on our head to try to share that message, then the Lord becomes conquered by that Bhakta Vatsala, and he becomes the servant of his devotee. So yes, thank you Vishwamba for a very beautiful point. Arundhati Mataji says, it purifies us. By preaching, we develop many good qualities, humility, tolerance, patience, and we will have a good character, and then we can reach others as well before we preach to others. So yes, we have to have good character. When we preach to others, it also makes us more attentive to living an ideal life, to becoming ideal in the way we do things. And so sometimes by preaching as well, it just helps us to be more attentive in how we're conducting our own affairs. And in that sense, it can very much help as well. And Gaur Bhagavan Prabhu says, when we take a risk for Krishna, he personally intervenes. Yes. Thank you. These are all very, very beautiful points, and I just wanted to share this with you. I was also reflecting that Srila Prabhupada, he was such an ideal example of this, because in one sense we can say Srila Prabhupada also had so many complexities, which he talked about in his Grihastha ashram. He often talked about his partner and how she sold the Bhagavatam for tea biscuits. He talked about his own business, where it got kind of, I think it was looted, or employees were stealing. So Prabhupada also had many complexities, but Prabhupada always preached. He always continued telling everyone about Krishna. So Prabhupada was also perhaps the ideal example of this, that he really just gave himself to helping others. Shamsundar Prabhu says, preaching reveals our own anarthas. My experience, yes, thank you. So, yes, if I sum it up in 3 words, when we preach, we get realization. When we preach, we get absorption. And when we preach, we get reciprocation. And when we have these 3 things, then the problems in our life disappear. We get realization when we preach, because we realize, I think my problems are bad, but look at all of these people I'm dealing with. I'm talking to every day. Their lives are so complex. At least I have Krishna in my life. We get realization that our problems are not as bad as we think. We get absorption in Krishna, which solves our problems because we're moving our consciousness to something higher. And we get reciprocation when we preach, because we get mercy. And with that mercy, everything in our life gets resolved. So yes, thank you so much. I didn't want to speak too long. These were just some kind of thoughts that I wanted to share with you. And this is why I think as leaders, because on the call we also have Sankirtan leaders, that if we can engage all of our communities in preaching, then what we'll find is that the quality of our devotees will dramatically increase. It really becomes like a congregation, a community which is practicing a higher level of Krishna consciousness, because preaching really takes us to another level of practice. And so, just to share this with all of you today, that not only is preaching so powerful for changing the world, but preaching is so powerful for changing us and changing our own communities. And so if we can really keep preaching as the essence, and book distribution is such an accessible way for everyone to get involved, then amazing things will happen. For sure. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much. Try Prabhu, I don't know if you have any announcements or any other things you want to share, or whether we want to just take some time for reflections, or I leave it to you.
No, I think you gave a wonderful presentation, overview of the importance of book distribution, especially an opportunity for all devotees connected with Krishna consciousness movement to participate, especially in this month. And yeah, remember the Live to Give campaign in particular, which overlaps the Prabhupada Marathon, which means Live to Give campaign, for anyone who doesn't know, means that the concentration and focus on distribution of Bhagavad Gita in particular in this months from September, October, November, December. And I know they're in the UK, they're very much on top of that, they're very much absorbed in that. And we try to encourage the other yatras to place some special emphasis on if there's any need to choose from one book or other, to choose Bhagavad Gita, to focus on Bhagavad Gita distribution, because it's a worldwide campaign that all devotees all over the world are busy with, are absorbed in. And, it's a special experience to feel part of something, feel part of something worldwide, and we're a worldwide movement. It's a worldwide campaign, so we encourage devotees to feel part of that and participate in that as much as they can, and taking into mind all of the advice that Maharaj has given tonight about organizing, going door to door, follow up, all these different aspects, and the fact that preaching, which is the best preaching, of distributing Prabhupada's books, and that will solve our problems. I think it's a wonderful theme for tonight, because everyone has more and more problems when we hear about it. Because there's so few devotees living in the temple, there's very few problems, but for most people who don't live in temples, the material world gets worse. It doesn't get any better, so problems can get more and more and more as they are. And so we know, by hearing this, we understand the solution. If I can just dedicate some of my energy to preaching, to helping others at my workplace, and going door to door on my day off, then it's the best service we can do, the best solution to all of our problems. So I want to thank Maharaj so much, but like I said, there's still 10 minutes for questions, and everybody's encouraged. This is a wonderful opportunity to ask Maharaj. See you.
Can I speak?
I think
yes.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you for your explanation about book distribution. But I remember in my young day, I have a quota for book distribution. And I was very much stimulated to reach this quota, yes. And you propose, I saw, you propose more or less the same in doing this 100, I don't remember exactly the number.
100
you knocked at the door, yes. Yes, I think so it's good in one side, but in another side, I don't know. Maybe I don't want to be criticizing anything.
No, sure, thank you.
Yes, but
no,
when I was a young devotee, I was very much stimulated to do this, my quotas, yes.
Thank you so much. Yes. No, I think it's a really good point, and I think
our old age, I think so, no? What do you think about it?
Yeah. No, thank you, Bruce. Thank you for raising that. And what we tend to do is, because sometimes there's certain types of individuals who are stimulated by transcendental competition. And there are some individuals who are intimidated by transcendental competition. And so what we tend to do is, if we keep an effort goal, then that's something that everyone can do. And then there are individuals naturally who like to have a quota, like to have a result goal, who feel that kind of, goal is good for them. It helps them to be inspired every day. And so then we also encourage people that, also have a goal. If you want to say, like, personally, I'm going to knock 108 doors as part of my effort goal for the yatra, but my personal contribution is I want to do 10,000 books this marathon. Then we encourage individuals to also have that, if that helps them. I just think that sometimes if we try to put a result goal on everyone, then what happens is that it might work for 50%, but for 50% it may intimidate them and turn them off. So we keep a general goal that everyone can be inspired by, and then extra goals for those who feel energized by that. So I think both things can work together like that.
So last chance, anyone? Yes, my Krishna Loka Devidas, my wife, she has a question. I'll translate. Since she asked, when you're not able to distribute books, but you really want to, does it depend on the people or on yourself? And you're out there trying to distribute, but nobody's taking, and you think, is that dependent on me, or is it dependent on people? I want, desire is there, desire to distribute is there, but nothing's, people aren't taking.
Yeah, Krishna says in the Gita to Arjun that do your duty regardless of success or failure, honor or dishonor, sukha dukhe same kritva labha labha jayo jayo. Krishna tells him that, you know, you have to just try your best. When Krishna and Balaram are hungry, and when the cowherd boys are hungry and they come to Krishna and Balaram, then Krishna and Balaram tell them, go and beg food from the brahmanas. And they go and they're basically ignored. And I think the commentary is given in that passage that this is Sankirtan, sometimes you get ignored. Even Krishna and Balaram were denied by the brahmanas, they were not given anything. So this is the nature when you go as a beggar, as a preacher, that sometimes you'll be received very well and sometimes not. So all we have to do is at the end of the day, we have to reflect and ask ourselves, did I give everything? Did I try my best? Did I invest my energy? Did I invest my intelligence? Did I invest the entirety of my attention? And if you give your energy, you give your attention, and you give your intelligence to the endeavor of trying to preach, after that, whatever happens is in Krishna's hands. And so, as long as we do everything in our power, then we have to just wait and see how Krishna arranges beyond that.
Thank you, Maharaj. But can it have something to do with our spiritual power, purity? Did we chant our rounds nicely?
Yeah.
Did we read the books? Are we spiritually strong? Can that also
Yeah, we always reflect back, and as I mentioned, we see whether we did everything from our side, and definitely our own spiritual practice. Purity is the force, so it's a good opportunity for us to reflect. But yeah, sometimes even when everything is in place, still Krishna may not. As we know, Srila Prabhupada even had to struggle as part of Krishna's plan, and all the while Krishna was leading him to something bigger. So, yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Thank you.
Last question.
Yes, Rishabh.
I have no question, but I remember there is a question on the beginning of the chat. Just after you finish the first question and answer, there is one question of Mataji about follow-up. Just if we can maybe catch that one as well.
Can I see? Oh, Sri Lalita's question? This one? Is that the one you're talking about?
Can you read it?
So, not sure I grasp the two categories of follow-up. Is it family people and unmarried people? Yeah, no, it's not family people and unmarried people. It's what we call a familiar audience and an unfamiliar audience. So a familiar audience is like perhaps those from the Indian community, those who already know something about Krishna consciousness, those who are already somewhat connected with devotees. And an unfamiliar audience is people who culturally may not know anything about Krishna consciousness, people who are very, very new, people who, need to understand the basic kind of foundational aspects of Krishna consciousness. So what we do is when we do a follow-up, we try to create different programs for these two groups. Because sometimes if you try to mix them, then you may not get the maximum result of helping them like that. Hope that helps.
I think that's clear.
Can you tell us, Maharaj, some of the results of this follow-up, maybe in the last few years? Like, what was like?
I think it's getting more organized every year. In the last few years, they've done a retreat as a follow-up to the marathon. Usually they get about 100 people coming for a day retreat after the marathon. These are all completely new people. We've also managed to begin a couple of Sangha groups in previous marathons based on contacts collected door to door. So yeah, now I think we're just trying to do it in a more systematic way. Like that.
There's one last question on the bottom. It's written in the chat. If we are in a small community where book distribution is not often talked about, how do we keep ourselves inspired?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that's why I guess these calls are so important, where you can kind of share ideas with each other. What I would also say is maybe now and again in the year, try to maybe visit a temple where book distribution is vibrant, spend some time with the Sankirtan devotees, learn from them. And then what I would say is try to keep in contact with book distributors around the world who are personally you can talk to, you can take ideas from, take training from. Like there's so many wonderful devotees on this call, so try to stay connected with them individually. Yeah, just engage the people in your community, and very quickly you'll find 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. You'll start building up a team of enthusiastic book distributors, and then you'll all support each other like that. Thank you. All right. Shall we finish?
Thank you so much, Maharaj. We're very, very happy. It was a wonderful meeting, wonderful inspiration. And we'll definitely be inviting you again soon. And we're also more selfishly, we're waiting for you in Italy, as you promised when you were here. That's we didn't say, I know you didn't say when, you said probably this next year. So we're hoping. We're very, very happy to have you. Waiting, not too patiently, but more or less.
I'm keeping writing to your team to invite you in Italy, actually.
Oh, we got your message. Thank you so much.
So one devotee wants to know how to get this QR code.
Maybe I can ask Divyanam Prabhu to share it with you, Prabhu, and then you can...
And then I can send it out.
Yeah, you can get it down. Okay, cool.
Okay. Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhupada Marathon ki jai. Live to give camp jai. Transcendental book distribution ki jai. Go Premanandi. Hari Bol. Everyone can turn off, open their mic and say Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Thank you again so much.
Thank you.
Hope to see you again. Invite you again soon.
Wonderful marathon, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kundaji, you're joining the 8-hour challenge.